Mr. Shelby, may I tell you something? You have a lot of
Many enemies.
Does your ambition have no limits?
I have no limitations.
I have no limitations.
Keeping on back for the next say song. Never tell her back that I never stay from me. Sipping on facts, damn know I got stacks in the lab. Taking bitches straight for another cat.
Welcome to Market Makers, everyone. This will be a big update because next week I'm off. Next week is Christmas week and I have to gallivant around the state to visit family and friends. So next week I'm off, so we're going to try to cover everything in this video. Now, if you still want updates, you can join the Discord, join our YouTube membership. Right there at the join button on YouTube, I'll be putting updates there. And also follow me on X at Market Canary right here on the screen. Very easy to post updates as well on X, so check that out as an option. This video is brought to you by Bitunix and SimpleFX. You want to trade the cryptos, trade the markets? Check out those two options. They are in the video description. It helps support the channel. I greatly appreciate it. So before I forget, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas with their friends and family because it's been a banner year for me. I hope it's been a great year for you guys. Really do appreciate you supporting the channel throughout the year. Since those April lows, this has just been crushing it as far as these market moves. And the big debate on our screen is, will cryptos make a new all-time high or will they make a lower high? And we're going to cover the markets in this video too. It's a combined video, so everything's timestamped, guys. So don't post a comment saying, where's the timestamps? Everything's timestamped. So just open up the video description. You'll see the timestamps. You can just click and see what you want to see there. Let's go ahead and start off. What do we have? We had economic data come out today. Unemployment went up to 4.6%. It was only supposed to go up to 4.5%. Jobs numbers came out hotter than expected. The median average was 50,000. We got 64,000. Those are government job numbers. They're bullshit. But unemployment went up. But overall, I believe we are in a bad news is good news for the marketplace. And we're going to cover cryptos here first, but just understand what's happening, right? We have a dovish Fed head coming in. What's his name? Trump is going to name the successor of the Fed. We just had a rate cut. We are in the most bullish time of the year. Certain markets already broke out to new all-time highs, and crypto sold off at the crypto liquidation event. And at a bare minimum, we are getting a massive rebound to the upside. So that's all things we're going to talk about here. Let me just show you the fear and greed before we jump into the cryptos, because we're at a 49 now. We are in neutral. Now, remember, back on November 20th and November 21st, we were at extreme fear. We were at a 5. Remember all the YouTube thumbnails? This is the crash. It's happening now. I called the top in October. I called the top in November. The crash is happening. And then what happened after that? You had Soloway go on all the different podcasts and tell everybody the market's crashing. You had that Chris Vermeulen guy go on the podcast, tell everybody the market's crashing. And then what happened? The Dow made a new all-time high. Equal Weight made a new all-time high. Russell made a new all-time high. The Spider made an intraday new all-time high, and that's just the beginning of what's to come. But let's jump back to the cryptos. If we look at the cryptos, guys, here's our Bitcoin top and bottom chart, the beach ball chart. Right now, where are we at on the RMA? We're at 65K on the RMA. What does that mean? We have to cross 69K, the previous cycle all-time high. Once we cross 69K, we have 4 to 5 weeks for the top to come in. So we still have well over 4 to 5 weeks for the top to come in because we haven't crossed 69K yet. And keep in mind, this has worked all the way back to the 2017 using the 2013 cycle data. So since 2013, 12 years now, this has worked out every single time for predicting a top. Doesn't mean it will in the future, but it has all the way through. 2021, we crossed the previous cycle high of 19,666, and within 4 to 5 weeks, we made the top and then got the drop. So we still need to cross the beach ball. Within 4 to 5 weeks after that, we will have the cycle top. I think that cycle top is going to be up at 150, but we're going to talk about that debate in the charts, okay? Let's go ahead and look at this. What's that bearish case we've been talking about? 3 peaks in a domed house. You got your peak 1, your peak 2, and your peak 3 and your domed house on the weekly time frame would be a massive head and shoulders already drawn with everything but the right shoulder. Then the decline, right? Then the decline. So this is the bearish case if this plays out. Where would it find that resistance? 108 to 116, the 618 to 786. You will get your kill box right in that area. However, the bullish thing that has occurred, the bullish cycle that has occurred on this chart for 7 years now with a 100% hit rate. All 3 times in the last 7 years that you've sold off and hit the 50 weekly RMA, 50 weekly RMA, 50 weekly RMA, and you just did it for the 4th time in 7 years. Each of the previous 3 times produced a minimum of a 46% rally. You did it back here in 2018. Big rally, 47.5%. You did it over here in 2019, 63% rally. You did it more recently in 2022, 46% rally, and you just did it here. And if we just look at this, where would this go off that low? Off that low of 46%, looking at 117,784. So let's call it 118K Bitcoin if we repeat this cycle that has worked out 100% of the time for 7 years and the 3 previous iterations. So again, that's some fuel for a massive rally. The question's going to be, will it fail up here or will it break through to the upside? And that is an unknown. Let's examine this further, shall we? December 19th. Keep this date in your head. That's the next lunar pivot. That is this Friday. You don't care about lunar pivots? Fantastic. Well, guess what? Since the summertime, you've missed out because every single pivot has produced a move in Bitcoin. I just highlighted the last few here just to go over them. The run up to the all-time high literally topped on the day, a 17,600 point rally topped on the day of the lunar pivot. The next pivot breakout to the upside, a 9,000 point rally. The next pivot breakout to the upside, an 8,500 point rally. And of course, you've been watching my videos. I was able to predict the low a week ahead of time before we actually bottomed, not after, before we actually bottomed, based on the lunar pivot. The very next day was the bottom in Bitcoin at 80,500. That was your bottom. And when is this next lunar pivot? It's coming up on the 19th. And by the way, the December 4th pivot, that was the day this rally sold off. So you had your bottom, come up to the pivot, right? Your very first red candle to the day, 16.66% rally, 13,500 points. You got 3 days of selling. Again, not a major pivot, but now you're coming up to the next pivot. I think this next pivot is to the upside, guys. Being that it's on a Friday, Bitcoin likes to make moves on Sundays. So I think you could see this play out starting this weekend on Sunday. We're coming to cross this pivot on Friday. I think you'll start seeing the bullish nature in the marketplace as well. So watch for that pivot because the pivot after that is after New Year's, January 3rd, which I believe is when the S&P topped back in 2022. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a nice strong run, but to what level? Let's examine some further, shall we? So looking at Bitcoin on a 3-day chart, guys, kill box. Where's the kill box? 618, 786. The rebound from 108, 762 to 116. Again, we have the 50 weekly RMA telling you it's coming up to this level. But on top of that, understand how price moves. I talk about this all the time. When you're in a bull market, what does price do? It rallies up. It pulls back, right? That's when you buy the dip, and then it breaks out to the upside, taking out that previous high and breaking out. What does it do on the downside? Downside sells off, bounces up, dead cat bounce, and then it breaks back down to the downside, taking out that previous low. What about reversal patterns? Reversal patterns, the W pattern that Gartley talked about over just about 100 years ago. Reversal patterns would be a sell-off, the dead cat bounces, the bears will tell you, and then you hold a higher low, and then you break to the upside. That's what you have in Bitcoin right now. You have your sell-off, you have your dead cat bounce to resistance, and you're holding the higher low above 80,500. And then you get the reversal to the upside. I believe that upside reversal will take you to the most commonly retraced to fib in a 50-year study is the 618-108-762 to the 786-116-409. So you may or may not care that you're going to go there, but just to keep in mind, off of that low, you're looking at anywhere from a 31,000 point rise to a 36,000 point rise. And that is simply just to get to target. What it does here, whether we get a double top and it breaks down, or we get some type of Wyckoff fractal where we go sideways and then break out to the upside, that's the key. But I think regardless of whether you are a bull or a bear, you're going to 108, 116 Bitcoin for a test, okay? Because it's a normal wave movement, a fractal wave pattern that repeats over and over in the marketplace. And of course, if we do break out to the upside, we're looking at 154K Bitcoin. Based on the Fibonacci ratios, that next level will be 171. This would be a good time to play a little clip from Tom Lee. It's 43 seconds long. Tom Lee did his BitMine keynote speech just about a week ago, talking about his price expectations for Bitcoin and specifically Ethereum in the next few months. Take what you want out of the next few months. I'm looking at Q1. I'm sure Tom Lee's looking at Q1, but a few could be 3 to 5. But just let's listen to Tom Lee. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Okay. Well, what does that mean for Ethereum's price? Well, I think Bitcoin's going to get to 250,000 within a few months. And if Ethereum price ratio to Bitcoin gets back to its 8-year average, that's $12,000 for Ethereum. I mean, that's a huge move. If it gets to the 2021 highs, that's $22,000 for Ethereum. But I think Ethereum is going to become the future of finance, the payment rails of the future. And if it gets to 0.25 relative to Bitcoin, that's $62,000. So I think Ethereum at 3,000, of course, is grossly undervalued.
So Tom is expecting 250,000 Bitcoin in the next few months. And based off the ETH ratio, he's looking at 12,000 on ETH. So I don't want anybody to go out there and tell me I'm a permabull. I'm giving you realistic targets based on Fibonacci patterns and ratios. But hey, I'm long already, so that would be fantastic if we actually got to those targets. Not my expectation. My expectation is your battleground is going to be 108, 116. And if the bears win, you're breaking down from there to produce that massive 3 peaks in a domed house in a weekly time frame. If the bulls win, you're going up to at least 150. These are targets I believe that will be hit, okay? That's why I'm sharing them. So let's go ahead and move forward. Let's look at total. The reason that total is interesting, it's all the money in crypto because they all have the same pattern. 18 RMA, the 18 RMA laying on top of price, right? Bitcoin needs to cross 94K. And of course, you have to cross above this to break out in total. You have to cross above 3.2 trillion. You have the same pattern on total right here with the 18 RMA laying across it. You'll see it on Ethereum. You'll see it on Solana. You see it on a lot of the larger altcoins. And you can see total. Let's just look at this on the indicator perspective. Look at your volume delta. You see that absorption line that total has formed? Meaning the price action you can see is mimicking what you're doing in volume. You're holding that absorption line right there. So the price action has a bias to the upside, but you're holding this key support line. Again, I believe come past the 19th, guys, watch what happens in the crypto markets. I think you're looking at a surge coming in the markets. Looking at Bitcoin on the daily, it's literally the same chart. Look at it, right? 18 RMA laying right across this. By the way, if you want my market canary moving average, it's on my X feed. You can change it from RMA, EMA, SMA, volume weighted, whatever you want to, but I programmed it. It's in my X feed. Go ahead and check that out. You can download it and use RMAs. I use the 18 RMA as a default for my daily time frame for trend. But look at Bitcoin laying right across 94K. Bitcoin needs to come up with velocity to the upside to break that, okay? It needs to break out to the upside, hold its lows, and again, your target, right? The initial target for where all the fireworks are going to happen. Notice the 19th here is denoted here on this. Your initial target for where this resistance, your peak resistance is going to be in your kill box, 108 to 116. And I think you're going to get this move. You're going to start to see the breakout here in December. And I think it's going to happen after the 19th. So just watch what happens with Bitcoin, because if we get our reversal, right, we get this W reversal that's forming right here. If we break out to the upside, this is the battleground, right? So the people that are saying it's just going down to 74K, I just disagree. I'm not saying you can't make a case for that. I think you're holding the low. I think you're breaking to the upside, and your battle is above you, 108, 116 on Bitcoin. The levels to hold obviously are the 80,000 level. You have to hold that level because the level beneath you is your market structure from the April 7th tariff sell-off, which is down there at 74K. Don't want to break that market structure. And you can see the W, right? I mean, I can see it from here, but you can see the W. You can draw it from different angles here, but you can just draw it like this. You can see the reversal pattern happening in real time. Your reflexive rebound, the dead cat bounce, as the bears would call it, and then you come back down to support. I teach this education, by the way, guys. It's on my YouTube. If you want to join the YouTube membership, you can see all the education on these W fractals, M fractals, double bottoms, double tops, triple tops. All the different patterns are there, ABCs. You can learn these things, but this is a fractal pattern because a fractal is a self-repeating pattern. It happens over and over again in the marketplace, and then you come up to peak resistance, which on Fibonacci, 618, 786. That's your battleground. So you want to hold that level, and if we want to break this down further, let's just go to a smaller time frame. Want to break this down further, let's look at the 5-hour chart. Trend refresher, sell-off low, high. This is your reactionary high. Retest of the low, gave you a higher low. New high. Retest of another low, gave you a higher low, a new high, and then the trend faltered. So when you zoom in like this, all you see is a rounding top. You're like, oh, that's bearish. That's a rounding top. When you zoom out to the daily 3-day chart, squish it in, you actually see what's happening is just a normal wave movement for a reversal pattern, a sell-off, sharp and steep, a rebound to resistance, and then holding a higher low is how you build your reversal pattern, taking out that midpoint. What's your midpoint? 94K with the 18 RMA laying across it on the daily time frame. That's the midpoint to take out, because once you take that out, your next stop's going to be right at 100K to test that resistance, and then on she goes to 108, 116. That's what I see happening in Bitcoin. If we look at Ethereum, let's keep a couple of key things here. I'm long Ethereum. I'm long Solana. If you look at Ethereum here, 2,700 is your key level. You've used this level many times. You checked it for support. This is going all the way back to last year, January 2024. When you fell above it, it was strong resistance for months. Then you broke above it. Then it was resistance and support. Finally, resistance again, and then you broke above it. And where did you fall to? Right back to your 2,700. Where is the battleground? Where is the date with destiny to determine the market trend from the macro perspective for Ethereum? It's right here, guys. It's going to be right there. We can pull down the fib from the all-time high down to your sell-off low. And it's going to be the 618, 786, 4,063 to 4,500 right in here. This will determine if Ethereum is going onwards and upwards towards our targets, lower level target 6,400, lots of Fibonacci confluence at 7,000, right? Those are my two targets there, 6,400 and 7,000. That's where I see Ethereum going, but it's all going to be about that 4,100 to 4,500 range right in here, because if you fail there and break down, guess what? That's the breakdown, and you'll see it in Bitcoin at the 108, 116. But regardless, I think you're getting this move. I think this move is coming in before Ethereum has to make a decision to go down or go up, okay? So that's when people ask me, when will you be bearish? I'll be bearish if we do a big rally and fail at peak resistance and break down. That's when I'll be flipping bearish. That's when I'll be flipping to short the market. I long long the market at peak fear, just like I did in April, just like I made videos on about the God candle rally coming, massive rally incoming. Go back and look at my thumbnails versus what other people were putting out there. When people are most fearful, that's the amazing thing about psychology, is you saw it in their thumbnails. I'm calling the top. The market's crashing. Everything's falling apart. Japan carry trade, whatever you want to put in there. AI, credit market, cockroaches, bond market's going to go nuts. Well, the dollar just hit a 2-month low in the DXY. The DXY is going to break out. It's going to crash the market. That you see all of that in the psychology portion of the market when we were at peak fear. Now we're in neutral, and guess what happens next? You go to greed, and then extreme greed, and guess what? Then I'll be looking for a top and angering all the people that are saying you're stupid, it's going to keep going, right? That's part of being a contrarian trader. So you're always going to have a smaller audience because most people follow the sentiment. In peak fear, oh my God, it's going to crash. And peak greed, it's never going to stop. You have to be able to understand what's happening in the market cycle and just have a layout of what you think the actual market cycle is to start providing yourself with some details of what's going to happen. So that's Ethereum on a 3-day chart. Let's go to the daily. Look at the setup. Quite literally the same exact thing once again, right? Look at the setup. 18 RMA laying across price, just like Bitcoin, just like total. You have your sell-off low, you have your high, you have a higher low, higher high. You saw this in trend. We'll look at this on a smaller time frame too. And now you just came back down for what? To build your reversal, right? You came up to resistance, you sell back to support. It's all about holding the higher low off the sell-off low. And then when you break back out to the upside, taking out your midpoint, where are you going? You're going to 4,063 to 4,500. So 4,100 to 4,500 to test your peak resistance. Then you can be a perma bull or a perma bear from that point on. But that move, I believe, is going to happen. This is a rubber band effect. So this is totally normal what this sell-off is. And I saw people on X freaking out about it. Oh my God, this isn't looking good, Brendan. This is all crashing. Is it? Because it's literally doing the same type of reversal pattern that you see over and over again in the markets and what I teach in my education course. This is completely normal reversal pattern that Gartley talked about 100 years ago. Okay, so if it holds the higher low, bullish, it's going up to peak resistance. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Now, last video I talked about the 5-wave fractal breakout to the upside. I said I expect it to go test 3,500. Posted about it on X as well. We got to 34.50 and then we got our sell-off. Again, when you look in zoomed in on like a 5-hour, 3-hour, 1-hour, this just looks like, man, this is bearish. It broke out, but now it's breaking down. You have to zoom out and look at the larger patterns because this is bullish. This is your sell-off low, your high, your higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, hit key resistance, 18 RMA, came back down, holding that higher low level still. The rebound will come. Watch the 19th right here on the chart. Watch what happens to the 19th on that pivot. Let's see if we pivot out to the upside. Key levels to hold, by the way, obviously 2,900 where you are now in Ethereum. 2,800 is the 786, and then your sell-off low here of 2,700. Actually, it's not the sell-off low, but 2,700. So look at the Ethereum levels like this. 2,900 where price is right now, 2,800, and then 2,700 because that's that long support line I showed you going back over a year in Ethereum. Those are your 3 levels you want to hold, and as long as it holds one of those 3 levels, this is going to the upside to test key resistance. Let's look at Solana, 3-day chart. Date with destiny is where? Your date with destiny is 203 to 225 right in here, which means what? Which means this is an accumulation zone in Solana. As far as I'm concerned, it's an accumulation zone because at a bare minimum, you're getting that move. By the way, these aren't small moves that we're talking about here, right? I guess I should have measured all these for you, but you can do it on your own charts. To come up to the 618 is a 67% move. And trading with leverage, that's a huge move. If we come up to my breakout target of 335 to 385, so 350 to 400 on Solana, you're looking at a 176% move without leverage, and you're looking at a greater than 200% move without leverage to the 400 target, okay? So coming up here is still a 70% move to the upside, which I want to be a part of before Solana makes a decision. Will it break to the upside or will it break down to the downside? And we're going to know by what happens in this range, okay? So key thing. So I expect Solana still to hold. You need to hold above 121 because if you don't hold above 121, 95 was your April 7th low. You have a level between there right at 110. So you have 121, 110, basically 95. So 121, let's just call it 120, 110, 100. Those are the levels. You really need to hold above 110, and I want to see it hold above 121 because I'm long in Solana. So that's what I want to see play out here in Solana, 3-day chart. That's your date with destiny right there. By the way, look at the previous moves. 170%, 165%, 170%, 166%. To come up to 335, right in range from significant lows, is 175%. Looking at Solana on the daily, getting awfully close to that 121 support. You have that 112, 110 just beneath you as well. But so far you're just ranging. And again, key pivot date for me coming up, 19th, ladies and gentlemen. Look at your 18 RMA laying right across price. Solana needs to cross 144.75 with velocity to get bullish. And then it's coming up towards that 200 target, right? That's that next level. It's going to come up to the 618. Before that, you have 171, 187, but the 200 to 225 is your target for your kill box in here for Solana to make a decision, and I'm going to be part of that rally if I can be. Want to see this start breaking out with some strength to the upside post the 19th. If we look at Solana on the 5-hour chart, not much difference here. You just get more candles. 144.75 is your peak resistance. 121 is your key support. Price is 129.55. Just like you did before, you come back down, see if this starts building something to the upside in these accumulation zones. Let's look at XRP for you guys that love XRP. A lot of requests for it. The big difference on XRP being a altcoin that has this huge wick over here on the left, guys. That's your crypto liquidation wick. You don't have a wick like that with this arrangement of candles on Solana or Ethereum. So the way I'm looking at the support levels here on XRP, let's just get rid of these green lines so you can see this. I would take a fib from that crypto liquidation wick, October 10th, pull it up to that rally high, that rebound rally high. This is your 18 RMA, by the way. Look at it laying right on top of price. You have a descending line here on top of price as well. But you can see you fell right to the 618 at 187 off of that crypto liquidation low. You hit it over here as well. So 187 is an important level to hold. And if you lose 187, that's $1.87, you can possibly come down to $1.65. Right? So that's substantially lower. So just be careful in this range. If you love XRP and you're looking to long it, 187 is an important level to hold and you're at 194. So just watch that level. And to break out to the upside, you got to take out that 18 RMA. Ultimately, you need to break out of this descending line here, which is at $2.28. And then you're moving back up towards $2.78, okay? That'll be your big test coming back up there to the upside. So watch that if you're interested in XRP. Now, for the back half of the video, this is 26 minutes in already. Nobody's watching this video, Lee. All right, but it's all timestamped, guys, so you can go to your timestamps. So let's start off in the markets. RSP. So when we look at the markets, RSP, guys, remember, everybody told you it was crashing, and I know I keep saying that, but I watch Bloomberg every morning, the morning shows every morning. But YouTube, in this case, was way worse than the morning shows. At least on the morning shows, they were mixed. Well, we're cautiously optimistic, Bob, about 2026, right? They're cautiously optimistic. But YouTube was just like all of the usual suspects. I mean, you have the guys that have been calling crashes every single year since I was at Merrill Lynch back in the GFC. Guys like Peter Schiff or Harry Dent, every year is a major crash, right? But the other guys, it's like they get one bit of information, like the carry trade, and then they make videos and videos about it. This is the top, this is the top. No, for real, guys, this is really the top. It's going to crash. And after they do all that, these heavyweight markets break out and make new all-time highs, and they still refuse to update their views. They cannot believe it. But, you know, it is what it is. And like I said, when this goes from neutral we're going to greed and extreme greed once we get the breakouts. You could dip back into fear again, but eventually you see how it works. You're oscillating towards the right. You went from 5 reading in November to a 50 reading in December. And then come January, specifically here for the markets, you're going to be in greed or extreme greed in the markets as the rally accelerates. So RSP equal weight, what did you do? This is all the 500 companies in the S&P valued the same. No AI trade beneficiary. It's just a valued the same company. You're above the 18 RMA. Healthy. You broke out above key resistance. What are you doing now? Livermore pivot. You're going to look for support. Could come down to the 18 even. People are like, see, I told you the crash continues. But guys, this is going up. You're going to be heading towards 211, right? 9% rally off of this breakout move. You're going to be heading towards 211. RSP made a new all-time high last week. Look at the Russell. Made a new all-time high above its 18 RMA. What's the Russell doing? Broke out above key resistance. I told you this is nothing more than like a big cup and handle pattern as well. And now you're coming back to do what? Make your Livermore pivot. You could descend some more to the 18. Let's just zoom in. I know some people want to trade small caps. Let's zoom in here on the Russell futures and look at this. Your 18 RMA is right here. It's been really good with trend. Look at that trend. But it's right here at about 2483, right? It's your 18 RMA. You can also just take a fib from that November sell-off low. And then you have the 50% at 2452. I mean, again, this hasn't even retraced down to the 382. That's so bullish. That's a bare minimum retracement off this November rally, right? Bare minimum retracement would be right where the 18 is, 2488. You're at 2527. And then eventually, when you pivot back to the upside and take out 2600, the Russell's going to do something like this. It could come down a little bit more, test the 18, and it's going to break above 2600, and it's heading towards 3,000. That's going to be a 29% rally, 28% rally off the November low. Remember, November lows, I told you prior to us selling off, I was looking for a pullback, 3 to 5%. You got 5.5% in the S&P, and it's been up since, right? It's up. The trajectory is up in the most bullish time of the year. Let's look at the Dow. What did the Dow do after everybody told you the market topped and was crashing? There's your 18 RMA. Oh, you made a new high last week, right? Made a new all-time high. Once again, broke out above resistance. You have some chop. You'll see if you can hold that support. 48.2 is the ceiling there. But again, just look at this from a fib perspective. You got the 18 RMA coming up. You have the 382 at 47,718. I mean, the Dow could literally lose 1,000 points just to hit the bare minimum super bullish retracement. The next stop for the Dow is 50,492. You're at 48,610, and then you're going to 53K, right? Bullish Q1. Bullish Q1. So watch that on the Dow. And of course, the Dow theory buy signal. I saw a lot of noise about a Dow theory sell signal about the Dow's going up, but the transports haven't broke out. Well, guess what? The transports are 2.5% from an all-time high. An all-time high they made back in November 2021. Boom, to the upside, okay? Nobody wants to tell you the good news. They just focus on their bad news. 18 RMA on the VIX. Price is still below it. You're at 16.73. When you're above the 18, came right up to target. Not once, but twice for these pullbacks in October and November. And now we have this sell-off holding about below the 18 RMA. Let's look at ES, S&P futures. There's your 18 RMA. You're above it. You came back and back tested it. There's your breakout pattern, the same as I showed you on Ethereum. This is going to break out to the upside. You're going to be heading towards 7,500 going into January. Okay, if we look at this, let me get rid of this pattern. We look at this 5-way pattern. Let's take a fib off that November 21 low. Again, you didn't even come down to the 382 yet. That's 67.74. You're at 68.53. You can lose 100 points to come down to the bare minimum retracement, right? This is a 15% rally off the November low to come up to 7,500. This is super bullish. I don't understand what people are looking at other than their own bias of it has to crash for XYZ reason, and you're just too stupid to understand. It's so obvious when in reality, those people saying that are part of the herd because they're just reacting to sentiment. When you look at the indicators on S&P futures, bullish RSI, higher lows in the volume. Momentum is kind of flatlining, but it was previously bullish. And then look at the wave up here in this is your market breadth. You were all the way down. I can't see it with my picture there. I think about 27%. And right now you're at 68% of the companies above their 20. You went from 27% on that sell-off low to over 2/3 of the companies above their 20. Guys, most bullish time of the year. Most Wall Street houses have updated their projections. I think the average price projection now from the big houses is 7,500 for 2026, up to 8,000. Tom Lee has 7,700 based on something else. We'll talk about that in another video because I'll tell you exactly how I got that calculation, because I know what he's doing. But when you look at this, guys, this is just a matter of time until you get the breakout. Money is rotating, shifting hands. You can still retrace and still be extremely bullish, even if you went to the 618 at 66.79, which again would be 200 points lower, right? And you're not even attempting to do that right now. It'd be a totally normal bullish retracement in an upcycle. Looking at this on NQ, 18 RMA, you fell below, got above, but what did you fall to? The bare minimum, 382, 25,118. You're at 25,277. You're going to 28.2, and I personally believe you're going to be heading to 30K in the NASDAQ, right? That's where I think you're going, but your next target is 28.2 once you get the breakout above 26.4 here in NASDAQ futures. But again, super bullish. You see the reversal pattern. It's the same thing. It's the 5-wave pattern, guys. Ethereum did this. You see it on the S&P. It's right here on NQ. Whether we hold the 382 or come down to the 50% or 618, you're going to get this 5-wave reversal W up to the upside. 28.2 on the breakout is your next level target. We look at the spider. Again, made a new intraday all-time high December 11th, right? Took it out right there, and then it sold off. Where did it sell off to? The 18 RMA. Not a better trend follower there than the 18 RMA on the daily. 382 is still beneath that at 674, 670, 665. All would be totally normal, by the way, and super bullish if you did any of those retracements, because overall you're resolving to the upside after you make your low, your high, your higher low, breakout to the upside, 5-wave fractal move to the upside. It's across all the indices. It's just going to happen. So you want to hold those support levels as well. If we look at the triple Qs, you came down a little bit further, almost to the 50% at 604.98. You're at 609. Below the 18, same pattern exists. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, pullback 4, breakout 5. 679 is your next target for the triple Qs. You want to hold above 600 if possible, and you want to hold your higher low, which your low is 580 here in the Qs. So you want to stay above that. Bullish uptrend intact in the Qs as well. What is Tesla doing? It broke out above 462. It's at 475, above the 18 RMA. Remember, looking at Tesla going to 521. And there'll be higher level targets once that's achieved if we get the big upswing in the markets as well. Nice breakout on Tesla. Now it'd be good if you can hold 462 as support because you flipped it, right? You got above it here, sold off, got above it here. Big sell-off. Came back up strongly, and let's see if you can hold above 462. Let's look at Hood. Hood was a big favorite of a lot of people. Massive rally. You look at this topping structure. You have these big movements down. You formed a big double top up here, as you can see. Wave 1, wave 2. It's also an ABC. Breakdown, and now you rebound. The rebound fails, but did it fail? Or is it holding the higher low? Because if it holds your higher low right there at that 116, want to stay above 110, if you can hold that higher low, take out that midpoint right there of 139, your first target's going to be 152 back to the upside and this W reversal fractal. See how patterns flow into each other? Double top, double bottom, right? Your W reversal to the upside. So we'll see if that ends up playing out here on Hood. It is beta. It would be good to see this breakout as well. You are at 119. Let's do one more, and I'm losing my voice. This is a long video, 37 minutes. Let's look at coin. Obviously heavily adjacent to crypto, right? But do you guys see the pattern? Because you had your sell-off, right? Your double top that failed, broke down, and here's your pattern. There's your dead cat bounce. Can you hold the higher low? I would like to see coin stay above 242, which is a 786. Break out above 284. Your next target's 363, 398 to challenge the upside. This could happen in confluence if we see crypto start to break out post the 19th. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Really enjoyed talking with everybody this year. And I should see you that following week right after, that New Year's week. I should be able to do a quick market update. Follow me on X, though, at Market Canary, or consider joining the Discord. Take care, everybody.